Hello Internet, and today's video is going to be my September wrap up. In September, I read a few books, but not as many as I could have. So in the first half of the month, I was doing really good. I was like, yeah, you're gonna conquer your bookshelf TBR, which is basically about every book on my shelf. But then, like mid-month, I got distracted by Teen Wolf fanfiction, Steric All the Way, and I didn't pick up an actual book for the rest of the month. I just wanted to worry about that priceless fan fiction for my little fangirl heart. That and Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's really important that I rewatch it now. So we're going to talk about the books that I actually managed to finish in the month of September, and there were some really good ones. First, we have The Sandwich Thief by Andre Marcos and Patrick Duyon. And this is a children's book. I'm going to call it a graphic novel simply because it comes across more of like a children's graphic novel versus just like the typical children's book. It's a little thicker than the typical 1 or 2 page children's books. The Sandwich Thief is about a young boy who has 2 foodies for parents, and he himself is a foodie, and his mother makes him gourmet sandwiches, and his father writes him little notes every day for lunch. And he just is in love with these sandwiches, like they're the best sandwiches ever created in the world, and one day his sandwiches keep getting stolen, so he's going for like a week without lunch because someone keeps breaking into his lunchbox when he's not around and stealing his food. So it's about him trying to investigate who's stealing his lunch and why. And I really enjoyed this book. Not only was it fun and cute, but I liked how like serious this kid was about his sandwiches. Like he was not playing around with these people. Like they weren't taking him seriously, and he's like, no, 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 no. My sandwiches are important. And I just loved the seriousness of this child over his lunch, which is a pretty serious topic because, you know, food is necessary to life. Next, we have A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This was really good. So this one is about a young lord, Monty, and he is going on his tour of the continent with his best friend, Percy. And they have to take his sister along, Monty's sister, because they're dropping her off at finishing school. So they get in a bit of trouble because not only is Monty a known rake and a bisexual one at that in a very unaccepting time, you know, real life sort of stuff, they also get into a bit of trouble because of Monty's bad choices, I guess. Monty's just a little too nosy and curious and a little too devious for the likes of everyone else. What I loved most about this book was that we got 3 different characters who, in the time period they were in, were suffering in some sort of way. We have Monty, who's a bisexual. He's very small, he's short, he's supposed to be this lord, he's supposed to be like, you know, domineering and super masculine, but like he's short and he prefers males to females, even if he does like them both. He enjoys sex. He's not ashamed of that. He likes to mess around. He likes having a good time and partying. And in that time, of course, that's wrong, right? He's doing everything wrong and he's failing, and he gets a lot of shit from his dad because of that. Then we have Percy, his best friend, who, even though he's an English gentleman, is not counted as such because he's a mixed race. His mother was from the Caribbean, so he is black and he looks black, even if it's one of the lighter skinned ones. That doesn't help him because no matter how white you look, you're still black if you have some color to your skin. So he's not getting ahead. And then we have Monty's sister, who is supposed to be the perfect woman, the perfect lady of the time, but she doesn't want that. She wants education. She wants to be a doctor. She wants to pursue a career. She's a career-minded woman, but in this environment, she's not allowed. And I liked seeing these 3 people in this environment where they were not allowed to thrive because things that made them fantastic and wonderful people and things that came in handy throughout their adventure are things that they're also shunned for and that they have to hide when dealing with people in their society. Next, we have Furthermore by Tahir Mafi. I had heard mixed reviews about this, but I found it in bookstores, said, hey, I've heard of it before, it looks really cool, and I hadn't read any Tahir Mafi books before, and I wanted to read it. So this one is kind of hard to explain. Basically, it's like a world of magic that we're living in, and here magic is color, so color is magic. They have a way of using color to create magic, and there's something going on there. But our main character, Alice, is without color. She's basically an albino. She has no pigment. So in her society where everything is colorful, where everything's full of color, she kind of stands out, and not in a good way. So they have like little missions and like trials that you have to do to become an official adult and citizen of the town, and she ends up getting roped into a neighbor boy's mission, which is to go and find her father, who has been missing for 3 years, and the only place that he could be is in a neighboring realm called Furthermore. And Furthermore, you can think of it as a more menacing version of Wonderland. It's like nonsense is sense, sort of weirdness, but like very, very dangerous, more so than I think Wonderland was made to be. So I really enjoyed this book. There was definitely like stunt points in it where it could have been better, but I think it was all put together in the end because Tahir Mafi's writing is very personable. In this book, she has her main characters, right? But she also has herself, or the narrator character, and so sometimes the narrator character will have a conversation with you as the reader, kind of breaking the fourth wall, while also just like explaining what's going on with the characters and having the characters' thoughts and all of that. And I thought that was such an interesting mix because I felt like I was talking to someone who was telling me a story that they had heard and was just a really good storyteller. So it made me connected to the book by listening to the narrator tell me this story, this third-party narrator. Next, we have Wires and Nerves by Marissa Meyer. This is a part of Lunar Chronicles series. This is the graphic novel edition where it covers Aiko's story, which is an android throughout the Lunar Chronicles. I'm going to preface this by saying I've only read the very first book of the Lunar Chronicles, which is Cinder, and that was so long ago that I've forgotten most of it. But I picked this up, and I just felt like a graphic novel, so I decided to start reading it. This is about, like I said, Aiko, and in this, they've already finished the Lunar War, and Aiko is in charge of cleaning up all of the werewolf soldiers, or the wolf-mutated soldiers that were left behind on Earth, because Cinder is now queen, and she's trying to clean up the mess of the evil witch queen. So she sent Aiko to get all of the wolf soldiers and send them back to Lunar so they can be rehabilitated. But of course, the wolves aren't going easily. I don't know what to say about this. I'm going to have to make an own video to really explain what I was just not into about this. Maybe it's because, like I said, I haven't read the whole story, but I just wasn't buying it as much as some, like, I couldn't automatically say, oh, the wolves are evil, they're the bad guys, because I sympathized with them. I mean, apparently, like, Lunars have absolute manipulation and mind control so severe, you can't make your own choices. And these wolves are now finally free. They were forced into battle. They didn't have much of a choice. They weren't supposed to. They didn't want to. They were taken advantage of and then manipulated and controlled, and now they're free and they're terrified because essentially you're telling them to go back to a planet in which there are tons of people who could use their own bodies against them and control them again. So, like, I'm all with them. Like, I don't think, like, they're upstanding citizens. They're definitely controlled by their instincts, but, like, I couldn't buy the severity of hatred towards them. So I wasn't really buying it because I was like, I sympathize with these guys more than I do with you guys, because by the looks of it, they're the ones who have been taken advantage of, and they're not the bad guys, because we know that Scarlett's boyfriend or whatever is one of these wolves, and he seems like a pretty decent and fun dude. So it's not like these people don't have humanity. They've just been beaten down, and the only thing that they have left to do is, like, they've been backed into a corner and they're trying to fight their way out, and they're not aware if they're allowed to stop fighting yet, so they're continually fighting. Point is, I have very confused feelings about this book, and a lot more thoughts than that, but I'm going to hold off on those. And the last book that I completed in the month of September is The Ability by M.M. Vaughan. I think I said that right. I never know with these things. So this one was a very interesting thing. So basically, we live in a world, we're in England, and we live in a world where at 12 years old, your mind is so powerful at that age, where your capabilities are so powerful. So at the moment you turn 12 and that whole year that you're 12, you don't have the brain limits that most people do, like that, oh, you only use 10% of your brain at a time. Well, when you turn 12, you can actually use 100% of it all the time, like freaking Lucy, Scarlett Johansson, right? So the British government decides to track down children who are going to be the most powerful ones, that are going to be the most likely to use this information to actually, like, become little mind magic super soldiers. And they take them in and they train them, and for a year they're contracted under MI6, like in a group called MI18, and they're in MI18 and they're supposed to help the government by being like little soldiers and using their mind magics to help wherever they're supposed to. I'm not, like, this was a very interesting book. We have, like, a main character. He ends up getting wrapped up in this. There's a villain who wants revenge on this whole team because she was wronged. And we got two, like, creepy kids who are on the woman who wants revenge's side. All of that. The most fascinating thing I found about this was, like, the child soldier aspect, because it was, like, a very humane way that they dealt with it, where it's like, oh, okay, we want to try to protect and educate these kids, but sometimes we're going to need these kids to do things that are simply impossible to do with them elsewise. But at the same time, I couldn't get through my head that these were children and we were using them as soldiers. Like, I'm not a fan of child soldiers, okay? Leave kids to be kids. But at the same time, I'm, like, thinking in my head, like, well, like, that little Slytherin part of me in the back of my head is like, but the advantage of having a kid that could read minds and manipulate things and, like, pick things up with telekinetic powers, that's pretty cool. You shouldn't let that go to waste. So, I don't know. I really like that. There were so many things about this book that were really, really fantastic. I actually have one more book that I attempted in September. This is the only book that I didn't manage to finish because I just got too bored to continue, and that is Nightsiders, The Orphan Army by Jonathan Marbury. And this, I really don't know what to say. I think this author is the same one who wrote Rot and Ruin, which I know is a fairly popular series because I've seen it around in stores and, like, heard it spoken of once or twice. This one takes place in a world where there are, like, bug aliens that come down and they're invading the earth and they're destroying it. And so our main character is a refugee from that battle, and they're, like, trying to run and hide to, like, make sure that they survive it out. But there's something deeper going on. Like, there's this witch whispering in his ear telling him how, like, there's two different sides on Earth and, like, they must be joined together and some weird stuff. And apparently, from as far as I got into it, there's, like, the sun's children, or, like, the daylight's children, and then the night children who are, like, witchy or wood and rock. I don't know if you can see it, but there's, like, this rock kid, and then there's a hidden tree kid, and then there's, like, this witch kid that can use powers. So apparently he's supposed to get involved with them, and by using these two different sides, like, the weird creature humans who have special abilities and stuff, and then the humans, by those two sides joining, they can defeat the aliens and fix the balance or something fucking weird, okay? I like weird things. That wasn't my problem with this. It was just so slow, okay? It was so slow. Like, I got a fourth of the way, no, a third of the way into this, and this kid still hasn't run off with the other orphan kids from the night side or whatever, the night siders. He still hasn't run off. He just met them. And then it was frustrating because when he met them, like one of the night siders, who's like this girl on the main cover, she sees him and he's like, oh, hey, I didn't expect other people, of course, because the apocalypse is happening. And they try to have a conversation with each other where he's trying to say, oh, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what that thing is over there. Like, it looks dangerous. I don't want to touch it. I was just, like, hunting for stuff and scavenging. And, like, she starts accusing him of things. And, like, while they're having this conversation, he's, like, noticing. He doesn't understand most of the things she's saying or, like, references that he's making. And, like, she's spouting stuff. And then when he'll say something, she's like, what, huh? That doesn't even make sense. Like, they come from two different cultures and backgrounds that even though they speak the same language, nothing is translating the same. And instead of, like, this girl just, like, sitting down and being like, he doesn't understand what I'm saying, and I don't understand what he's saying. Maybe we should figure out what each other's definitions for the words are. Instead, she just, like, starts accusing him of shit that he didn't even do, and yelling at him and saying that, like, he ruined the world and he's a part of mass destruction, and he's just like, hey, chick, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to tell you. I don't understand what you're saying and why. And I'm just like, I got so frustrated because that's just, like, horrible communication. And I don't like miscommunication as a plot point. That's terrible shit, okay? Miscommunication as a plot point isn't a plot point. That's just bad writing. I'm going to say it. So this one's going to stay on my shelf until I decide to finish it. Or it might not, because, oh my gosh, is this book horrendous looking. This cover, fine. This, cool. This color combination, though, who thought this was an okay color combination? You couldn't just make the whole damn book navy? I don't know. It's pretty terrible. It works okay on the book jacket, like I understand it on the book jacket, but on the book itself, oh no. It just hurts my eyes to look at, and I like to take off my book jackets when I read, so I was not feeling it at all when I was reading, and every time I looked down and, like, flipped around my book because I was thinking about something that I read, it was hideous to behold. So, DNF this one. Other than that last book, these are all the books that I read in the month of September. If any of the books that I mentioned here were of any interest to you, or any of the comments I made intrigued your thoughts, comment down below. Let me know, what are your opinions. If you have books that you just think are hideous and deserve DNFing just because they look hideous, comment down below and let me know. So I just want to know who else is as judgmental as me. I like people who are like me. What a surprise. Otherwise, click all the bunnies down below if you like what you're seeing here. And goodbye, Internet.